Hi, my name is Ronnie Cruz. After almost 2 decades as a career network marketer, I realized that despite continual work on my personal and professional development, that I had hit a massive brick wall. So I took a deep and honest look at myself, top to bottom, hoping to find answers, and my search led me to one conclusion. The definitions I held of my business, of my world, of my life were the very things holding me back. If I wanted to change, if I wanted to grow beyond my current circumstances, I had to wipe the slate clean and redefine. This show is dedicated to helping you identify the belief systems, the mindsets, the very definitions that have held you back, and then help you break through those limitations to finally create the life you've been working so hard to achieve. Welcome to the Redefine Podcast. All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we're going to talk about my process in thinking of content ideas. And I did an episode about this, like where to get endless ideas of content. And especially now in the age where, AI is becoming more and more prevalent in terms of being used as a tool to generate, at the very least, ideas for content. Some people are using it for their content, which I don't necessarily agree with. However, you don't need it, right? Like I'm not a techie. The reason why it took me so long to get into online marketing in the first place was because I'm intimidated by technology, right? I'm intimidated by all this stuff. So I'm going to be very slow to adopt AI for, content ideas. And on top of that, I don't really need it. And I'm going to talk about a process that you can use for yourself so that you won't need to rely on, artificial means to generate ideas, right? Like that to me, I think is a little crazy because we have one of the best, if not the best source of ideas at our disposal, right? Ideas exist. Our brain, part of the reason why our brains exist is to generate ideas. And it's just a matter of really using that muscle and exercising it so that you can stay good at it. All right. Because here's the thing. It's a question I get a lot. It's one of the most asked questions that I get is like, how do I keep coming up with content if I'm supposed to post a piece of content at the very least once a day? It's simple. It's simple, and you have to again practice that muscle. And if you don't, you're never going to get good at it, right? It's always going to be a slog, or it'll be slower to get to a point where you can just come up with ideas. So the faster you thrust yourself and you throw yourself at the thing, the faster you'll get to a point where ideas won't be a problem. For me, obviously listening to shows, podcasts, listening to my mentors, listening to things in the space. I'm not necessarily reading news and opinion things. Like I consume a lot of nonfiction and education type content, right? From audiobooks and books to podcasts, sometimes videos. And that's really all the source of my ideas. That's all. And the process isn't so much that I'm taking ideas from the individuals that I'm listening to. Of course, I reference them a lot, and I will never just flat out copy ideas, right? Don't do that. That's not ethical. But let your mentors and the content that you consume inspire you and spark ideas. Now, this means that you have to be an active listener, an active consumer, or an active viewer while you're consuming this content. A lot of times we consume content and we're tuned out. It's just a background noise, or we have an audiobook playing in the background and we're doing many other things and our brains are on other things. You have to be fully engaged with that content in order for it to spark your ideas. And that's really the most important part of this process, that it really helps you engage and continue to work and strengthen that muscle, right? That creative muscle. And so in the process, as I'm listening to the podcast, as I'm listening to the audiobooks, what I do is if an idea pops in my head, I'll pause the show, or I'll pause the book, or I'll pause the video, and I go into my phone. I have this one page of like, I don't know, it like at this point, it's just like I'm scrolling, right? But it's just, ideas. It's just ideas. It's just ideas. Bullet points of ideas. And generally, if I don't know, I can't really show you here on the podcast, but if you look at it, that's where I get all my ideas. And even if I don't use them right away, I'll have this collection of thoughts and ideas that I can pull from I'll never run out. I'll never run out of ideas and content for this show. I mean, this show is every day. There's an episode every day. You would think by now I would run out of ideas. Now, do I revisit topics and subject matter? Yeah, for sure, with a different perspective. Do I allow do I allow ideas from other content creators and reference them here on the show all the freaking time? You know, I reference Brendan Burchard all the time. I reference Jenna Kutcher. I reference the Biz Bros. You know what I mean? I love these guys. So yeah, I reference them all the time. But it's from my perspective because I have a list of ideas that I can pull from that I write down immediately when I'm inspired because I'm engaged, right? Because I'm engaged. It's that active engagement of the mind so that, really because I think people have a hard time coming up with ideas because we're too distracted and our attention spans are too low and there's very, very short focus, right? Short attention span equals short focus. So what we're really working here, the part of our brains that we're really working is focus and intentionality. Focus and intentionality. So when you're consuming content, when you're consuming education, be really focused on that education, and then be willing to also, when you think of an idea, just jot it down. Whether it's your phone, whether it's in a notebook, but just write down your ideas, and then before you know it, after we're 6-7 months into this podcast, you're going to have a litany and a library of bullet points that have your ideas that you can pull from, right? That you can pull from. So you're never going to run out of ideas if you exercise the muscle of your creativity, if you really exercise your muscle of focus and being engaged at all times, being in the moment, as opposed to being distracted and having a short attention span and not being focused, right? All right. I think that's the key. I think that's the key of never running out of ideas, being focused, being intentional, and really engaging your concentration and your creative mind, and and using the tools that you have to jot down your ideas when they come, right? When they come. So that's it. I know it seems simple, but like, how many people are actually doing this? Right? How many people are actually doing this? So make sure to kind of, as you listen to some of this stuff, as you listen to the show, employ these things, right? Really actually do these things, because it's not going to do you any good just knowing it. You got to put stuff into practice, and you'll see that, there's actually a lot of usefulness in my content, right? So I don't know. Hopefully that helps. That's at least my process, and I've been able to do, as of this recording, 201 episodes every day, right? Every day for 201 days. So there's something to be said about that. It works for me. I think chances are it'll work for you as well. So that's my message for today. More from me tomorrow. So until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.